When I tell you, hello world, hello everyone. This is your girl, Kayla Rose. Normally I am on Facebook Live at Kayla Rose. And look at my face. Hi everyone. I'm also on YouTube as Ichoosespirit. And this topic of discussion that we're going to do and jump right into today is going to be on trust, right? So the vulnerability of trust, what it is, how trust and faith really come together. Okay. So there's all kind of different things that interact with trust, but it's all going to connect the dots, and I'm going to walk you through it, and we're going to connect the dots together. So Ichoosespirit, right? This has been my journey. I love Ichoosespirit as this topic because at some point in our life, we're all going to come to a decision on, are we choosing spirit? And it's a balance. It's a harmony. It is a balance from within us to be able to choose. Choice, free will, trust, but choosing spirit. What is that? So a lot of people, they say, well, what's spirituality? And what's this? And what's the difference with that and religion? And I just try to tell people, and I try to get them to be comfortable with the idea that we're all spiritual beings, okay? So if we are spiritual beings, we are also spiritual in this physical reality. Wouldn't that put us on a spirituality journey, right? There's a balance within us that we're definitely achieving, and that's the balance of what I call our ego personality and our spiritual personality. And when we come to a point where we can have union in that is that yin and yang that they talk about, the balance, right? Because you have a union within you. You don't want it to always be where spirit is the tail and ego is the head, right? The Godhead versus the ego head, as above, so below. And like I tell people, stop making it so high for heaven, and remember, it could just be as above in mind and so below in heart, because the balance of what's on your mind and what's in your heart comes out of your mouth, and it's also a reflection on who you are as an individual. So this topic on trusting, this topic on surrendering was, what is trust, right? I did a whole paper in college on trust. But you know what I found out to be so amazing with trust is that trust also works in with obedience. And when people hear that word obedience, they think, oh, obey and blah, blah. No. Let's bring it back down, right? Because your body is under obedience, right? Your mind is under your obedience. Your heart is even though we try to control and suppress and depress all of that, there is still an obedience. So how does trust and obedience work together? And there has to be a good balance, right? A lot of us don't know what it is to trust ourselves. A lot of us, we have so many conflicts within us. Let me tell you just a simple example of that. You ever go to a restaurant and you have your mind made up, and your goal says that you're on a journey and you're losing weight, right? That's what your goal says. You get to the restaurant, and before you walked in the door, you knew you was going to have a salad. You knew. You started reading through the menu, and you realized that harmony of your goal and what you wanted did not line up, because instead you had a fish platter. So trust and obedience. Trust and obedience. Now, trusting was you saying that you were going to stay on your goal. Obedience came in and something totally different happened, right? Blind faith. What God and Spirit is asking for is participating faith, right? Participating faith. Blind faith, when I walked in there, I had an idea. Participating faith would have said, let's line up. Let's have the salad and let's enjoy it. And let's confirm that we can enjoy the salad, the living plants that we're going to eat in our body, and the sensation of all of the taste buds being activated, because it's going to be good. And even though the fish is good, maybe the fish is just a little out of alignment. But now, how about this? If you make the alignment for the fish, what later on are you going to sacrifice so you can remain in alignment, right? Sometimes that's obedience too. But trusting that you can and you will do that, that's the difference. So how did I wrestle with this topic? And I did. I wrestled with it because there is a form of vulnerability. This topic on trust it makes me so vulnerable because I've been walking this walk on this journey with, Ichoosespirit all my life. And because I wanted my own independence, and because I wanted to fit in, and I wanted the world to fit for me. Because I didn't want to fit out. I didn't want to be alone in it. I didn't want to be vulnerable enough to tell people that I'm weird and that I have a communication and that I have this. And then I realized something, because, God is so intentional that he shows me these things and tells me these things, and we talk. And I'm okay with that, people. So I'm okay with that. So for all of you that think that, oh, I'm religious and I don't believe in that new age and I don't this and that. Guess what? Your pastor is having a spirituality experience. Your pastor is on a spiritual journey. You know how? Because he's connected. He's linked up. He's anointed. He's one-on-one. And guess what? Every last one of us, we're the same. And some of us are listening. Some of us are denying. Some of us have abandoned that relationship. Some of us are so far on ego that spirit can get no edge, no word, no nothing. I don't believe it. I'm this and that. This is who I am, right? Some of us are so set in our way. But we are all spiritual beings on this earth. Every essence of life has some type of spirit in it. Every essence of life has some type of spirit in it. Every essence started off has a vision that God had and created it with a purpose. It was an intentional. My God is so intentional. And I need you to know that. So much intentional that trusting comes with surrender. And there's always that conversation that me and God has where God is saying, but are you willing? Will you be willing to be vulnerable to trust? Will you be willing to be vulnerable to speak to just one daughter? Because when I start thinking that maybe I'm going to be speaking to so many, it does put a little fear, because, people come with their judgments and people come with all of their stuff, and then the conversation begins again. But that does not matter how they come. I accept all of you, how you come. I accept, and I say, but I'm just one individual person, and it's exactly. I accept you as an individual person, knowing that you have a simple willingness, and aren't everybody that come to me, aren't everybody that's taking on, being a pastor, that's taking on this, don't they have a willingness, and you don't have to have a title to have a willingness. I don't have a title. This is just me, Kayla Rose, Beloved Rose, Ichoosespirit, right? So I wrestled and I went through it. I started on this last night, which would have been January 17th, and I fought the wrestle. And I said, no, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want, to be vulnerable enough to talk about an experience of trust when I'm dealing with this and I'm having this problem of trusting, So there's all of my intro about this vulnerable topic of trust. Every last one of us are going to face trust issues. And people, life has showed you that you got every reason not to trust. It has showed me so much of not having a reason to trust that I have it tattooed on my backbone. in Chinese letters because I wanted only the private moments to have a moment of reflection on what is this and why is this on your backbone and what does it mean? Just the reminder of trust no one, right? And then, with all of my communication and with all of my walk, do you know what Spirit came back and sat me down and told me? Daughter, as you putting a stamp on you of trusting no one in a world where you have to realize that you're going to have to trust yourself. And I was like, yeah, okay. Trust yourself enough to love yourself. Trust yourself enough to understand I am here with you. And I need you to have a willingness in every situation to not understand that it's not about trusting other people, but it will always be about trusting yourself. Trusting yourself, daughter, because if you can trust and you have a willingness to hear and a willingness to love beyond all your fears, then you can also have a willingness to trust in me, trust in the God that you love and that you serve, right? And I took that intentional conversation and I let go of my guards of anger, of everybody that I felt hurt me and took from me and stole from me and robbed from me. And I let that just dissipate. I let all of that energy just dissipate because, I'm not my childhood anymore. I'm an adult. I'm not the victim that I was when I was a child. I've learned, I've grown. I've set boundaries. I'm not the hurt, broken person that I was when I was in this relationship or that relationship. I'm not victimized, right? I'm every day living this present gift of how would you like to live today? How would you like to experience today? How would you like to love today? Can you trust that you can set an idea to love in today, to live in today, to be happy in today, right? And it's funny because I laugh about it with God because today is the gift. Today is the present moment gift, right? So, how can I take this? The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. Joseph Campbell. The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. Who are you? Who are you on this journey of life? Not who people think you are. Not who people say that you are. Not all of your past hurts. Not anything that has to do with you being victimized. But who are you? Who do you want to be? The privilege. Isn't there a privilege in that? A privilege in knowing that I can be my authentic, vulnerable self, having arguments and having resistance to a conversation, yes, with Spirit, and be vulnerable enough to say that we all are. At some level, we are. If you're praying, you're having a conversation. Are you willing to listen? Are you willing to be moved enough to take the action steps that are coming from within you, that maybe you need a little more discipline. Maybe you need to let go of some things. Maybe you need to stop being afraid and trust and having that trust, right? So what are we facing? What are all of us facing on this journey of trust? We're facing fears. Some of them appearing as false evidence, and some of them are appearing as feeling excited and ready because there's change on the horizon, right? See, when it's false evidence appearing real from conversation with God, false evidence appearing real, that's because there's illusions. That's because there's things that, that's presenting themselves and causing an anxiety within you, right? There's illusions in that false evidence. You're believing something that's not necessarily true. It's dominated by your ego and your pride. But when you shift, that fear becomes feeling excited and ready because change is on the horizon and you're shifting in your mind. And even though you have a little fear and anxiety, you know that it's time and that the time has come for you to do something different, for you to choose something different, for you to say, I'm stepping into the unknown and I'm taking the leap. I'm taking the leap, right? Feeling excited and ready. It's still fear. But there's two different aspects of it. Coming out of the illusion and stepping into the unknown, right? So then as you're going through fear, you're going through sadness, because sometimes that sadness is a reflection upon yourself. It's a reflection upon what got you here, what got you to this place where, you don't like where you are, right? Maybe you don't like where you are. You don't like who you have become thus far. So it's a place of sadness. Do you know right after that sadness becomes anger? Because maybe you realize that you should have took more accountability. You should have been more responsible. You got to stop listening to everybody outside of you that has an opinion for your life, that has an opinion for your direction, and they don't know what you're going through from the inside of you. They don't know the battle that you're having, just trying to find some balance with you on the inside of you, right? So then there's shame. I talk about shame because it's another way for you to self-pity. It's another way for somebody to hold something over your head. It's another way for them to use a whip over you, for the enemy to use a whip over you, right? It's another way. Don't let them do it. These are just different steps on the journey, and you got to release the shame. Okay? If you got old patterns and old things that you used to do, have you learned the lesson? Do you always want to be shameful? Do you always want to do things that go against you? Do you always want to be so ashamed of your actions because you don't want to take discipline, or you don't want to take do the necessary steps to make sure that when you face this situation again, that you'll make a better decision this time? No, I'm not going to fall for the same trap. I'm not going to fall for the same okie doke. I'm not going to fall for the same, behavior. I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry. That way you won't have to face the shame of committing a sin against yourself. That's why you're having the self-reflection of shame against yourself. So from shame, we go to self-judgment. But self-judgment should be not so critical upon yourself. Be kind. You're growing, you're learning, you're stretching. You're growing, you're learning, you're stretching, right? Self-judgment is just reflection of acceptance. I'm going to do better. I'm going to be better. I'm going to try new things. I'm going to challenge myself. I'm going to open myself up for love. I'm not going to hold everybody accountable for hurting me. I'm going to, set some healthy boundaries so that I don't fall into the same traps. That's self-judgment in the most positive, loving way, because that's our God too. Come on. Didn't we say that the price was already paid? Didn't we say that, we have an understanding of these things already? So when you begin to come out of self-judgment, you get to recognize patterns. You get to recognize patterns of abuse. I'm not going to stick around for people to, domestically abuse me. I'm not going to stick around to be a victim because that's what I'm used to. I'm not going to be a doormat for anyone, right? You're recognizing these patterns. You're recognizing these boundaries that you need to set up. You're recognizing that, I'm not going to be a pleaser all my life. I'm not going to say yes to everyone. I'm going to say N-O with a period as a healthy sentence. No. I'm going to smile about it. I'm going to love about it. And I'm going to say no. And I'm going to mean it. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with having strength and courage in yourself to honor yourself first? What's wrong with that? So you're going to recognize those patterns. You're going to come out of addictions, right? Addictions could be codependency. Addictions could be just an acceptance of failure. Well, every time I try, I'm not going to even try because I know I'm not going to give it the best effort and I'm going to fail myself. Really? You're going to accept that failure? You're not going to push through? You're not going to go the distance? If you don't go the distance in your life in whatever area or direction, you're going to allow yourself to sabotage yourself for the rest of your life and just accept failure? No, you're not. No, you're not. You're going to do better. This is 2020. This is 2020 vision. Do better. Doing better. You know what that is for you. Who can tell you what that is for you? Recognizing those patterns. Recognizing what addictions is keeping me away. Is it food? Is food preventing you from becoming your best self, your best shape, your best body, your best beauty? Is food doing that to you? When you're going to have to shift and you're going to say, I eat to survive, not to live. Right? Is lack of discipline, is lack of self-worth, is lack of saying no causing your life to not step ahead on the journey of really discovering who you are? It's not just people out there. People say, well, oh, they're famous and oh, they're this. They have a story, and most of them have a sacrificing journey. Most of them kept going. Most of them pushed. You got to push. You got to believe, right? So you got the ego. And the ego, let me tell you something. The ego is a calculating computer that has facts and data. But the thing with the facts and data is that those facts and data is about your past and never about your future. It's about where you've been, but never about where you're going. Allow your spirit to have an idea for you about where you're going, not your ego. Your ego cannot take you there. It's like stepping into your car and setting your navigation about the restaurant you want to go to or the hotel you're driving to. And then ego comes in and says, well, let's go back to the other place where we've been. And you tell your ego, no, I'm going to this new destination. And even though I don't know the full directions, I'm going to trust that my navigation system is going to get me there. And the ego says, well, I don't know where that place is because I've never been to that place. And then you tell the ego really simply, hey, I want you to go there with me so we can experience a new journey. I don't want you to be so afraid that you prevent me from not going to this destination where we can have fun together. I want you to relax enough to know that we can trust that the navigation system is going to take us there. And if we ever get off course on this direction ahead, that is going to ask for us to make a safe U-turn. And when we make that safe U-turn and get back on course, that we can still be okay knowing that we're traveling in the right direction. Because that's spirit. Ego is going to keep telling you, but I've never been there before. Why can't we just go back to some place that's familiar? Why can't we just do that? What's wrong with going to where we used to be? What's wrong with that? I know what that is. I know how to face that. And that's when you smile and you say, it's okay. It's okay that it's a little unknown. It's okay that it's different, but sometimes different is better. Sometimes taking the leap and trying out new things and going and facing those challenges is going to be better. And I don't want you to have to die, ego, to go there with me. I just want to say, take my hand and let's take the ride together. And I won't have judgments for you if you're afraid. I might be afraid because maybe it's going to take me to a new state. Maybe it's going to take me to, a new place. But let's discover. Let's create new memories so you can say and remember, hey, I've been here before. And I want to experience this how we experienced it in a new way because it was fun learning new things and trying new things, right? Some people don't want to close their eyes because they don't want to see what they put in their own darkness. Can you imagine that? Some people don't want to close their eyes because they're afraid to see what's in their own mental space of what they put there. Face that. And if you don't want it there, start to release it and let it go and love yourself and say, I've grown from this. I don't need that there. I don't have to believe that every scary movie is going to have a demon waiting for me when I close my eyes, right? So that's what I'm saying. Shifting is important. So we just went through fear, sadness, anger, shame, self-judgment, recognizing patterns, addictions, ego. And now we're at the point where you're thinking that you are not good enough. Yes, you are. You were here on this physical earth having a spiritual journey, because that Holy Spirit, that spirit essence, that higher self, that anything you want to call it, is here with you. You will always be good enough. You will always have a new day to begin again and to choose again. Choose again, my friend, and choose well. Choose well right here where you are, whether it's forgiveness, whether it's saying sorry, whether it's really just taking accountability. There is a thing called the Ho'oponopono prayer. Ho'oponopono prayer, right? And you know what the biggest thing is closing your eyes. Maybe you hurt someone. Maybe you've done, maybe you don't know how to say forgive or to give forgiveness or be forgiven, or you got self-worth issues. Why not close your eyes? Imagine yourself as a child, and imagine yourself when you did all those stupid things to yourself, right? Let's start with you, and you just say to yourself with your eyes closed, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you and thank you. Sometimes we need to start right there with our own body. Start with your body. Imagine your body, your mind. For all of those people that are losing weight and gaining weight and everything like that, aren't you glad that your body expanded with you? And aren't you glad that your body shrunk down with you? Wouldn't it be a horrible thing if you stretched and burst it open and just drained out everything out of your body? Wouldn't that be a horrible thing? So why don't you thank yourself and your body for going through all of these changes with you? Thank your mind and thank your ego for stretching and growing, and allow your spirit to stop always being the tail, and allow your spirit to be the head, because your ego cannot take you to your future. It can tell you about all your past hurts and all your past issues, but it can't take you to your future. Your spirit can. It will be there to hold your hand through the unknown. So we went through all of that, right? You're not good enough, but you are. Stop sabotaging yourself. Okay, I've done all this. I've made the changes. I wrote the goals and all of this stuff, and I'm all alone, and I got so much fear, and I got all of this stuff, right? Keep going. Small action steps. Loving yourself, trusting and praying that Spirit has got you, and that there is bliss at the end of this journey. And don't forget the bliss while you're experiencing the journey. What's the point? Sometimes the most beautiful thing is the ride getting to where you're going, right? The icing on the cake is getting to where your destination is and really enjoying it. Enjoy every moment. Enjoy all the moments getting to where you're going. Okay? So you're not good enough, and shattering that inner sabotage. And then when you get to trust, that is the surrender. Trusting. But you know what it is? You know what's wrong with us? We don't want to be vulnerable. We don't want to be vulnerable. We want love, but we're not vulnerable enough to let it in. We want an experience with God, but then we want to deny it. We want to be blessed, and then we don't deserve it, right? We are so confused as people. We're so confused on this physical life journey. You want the experience of the exhilaration and the journey and getting there. And then you want to self-sabotage all the way there because you just don't have all of the answers. And sometimes God is saying, trust me while we're waiting. Trust me while I'm lining everything up. You know what? Most of the time what happens? People throw away the blessing right at the door. Right at the door. Right at the door, we throw away the blessing. Don't let that be you. Peek your head in the door and walk inside and say, God, I don't know how to do this. And I'm a little nervous and I'm scared and I'm vulnerable. And if you can just comfort me through this process, I'll continue to take one small step. And God says, daughter, just take one step and join the other foot with it. Don't leave a foot hanging back there where you're 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Daughter, I want you to take that one step, and I want you to join that foot together and stand, because when you can stand like that, you can stand and be whole, right? And you can trust me, and you can know that I got you, because there's nothing new under the sun, daughter. There's what you're doing, someone else has gone and done before you. You know, every race that they run out there with what's his name, that oh my God, you guys know him. He's the #1 record holder, Bolt, right? The #1 record holder for the Olympian runs, the race. Every time, you know, he beat a world record, guess what? Another one is set. Why do we always want just that one record? Why do we always want just that one place, that one thing, that one? And God is saying, let all of that go so I can give you another achievement, another blessing, another love, another destination, another food to savor and eat, another experience of joy, another knowingness that you can be healed, another knowingness that blessings and being financially stable is your birthright, and loving and choosing and trusting is all part of it, right? And what it always turns out to be is the surrender. It always turns out to be trust, because I'm trusting from within me. I'm listening from within me. I'm loving from within me. And it's a vulnerable place to be in this world that's so ugly. And I get it. I get it. I understand, but you're not alone. Don't limit yourself because of the ugliness of this world. Make your inner kingdom, your inner vision, your inner world beautiful, so that you can experience the outside world as a reflection of your inner world. See, the whole time I was looking for some kingdom that I was trying to go to. The whole time in my life, I was saying, God, where is this kingdom? Where am I supposed to get the keys for the kingdom? And where is it? And why do I got to wait to get to heaven to get it? Why does it have to be so far away from me? When can I have this kingdom experience of God on earth? And you know, you can see me screaming these things to God, because here I am having this whole trust discussion with you. The funniest thing is that God has the greatest sense of humor. And the funniest thing is, why do you keep thinking you're trying to get to somewhere? And I said, but God, everybody said the kingdom is the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of somewhere else, the kingdom and you. And I'm trying to get back to you, and I'm trying to, and it's the funniest thing. And I know to all of you, it's not funny. It's not even funny to me going through it. And God is saying, look, daughter and son, you're not trying to get anywhere. I am within you. The kingdom of God is within you. When you love yourself, daughter, you will find me there. Because see, when you don't love yourself, you can't hear me. You can't trust me. You won't love me. You will not accept me. You will deny me. You will push me away. But when you begin on the journey of self-love, when you begin to trust, when you begin to have discipline, when you begin to do these things, when you begin to set boundaries for the outside world, that they cannot sway you left and right, and they cannot dictate to you outside of you, because you understand that dictation and that dictatorship that you need to have is first to yourself, daughter, then you will understand. You're not trying to get to me. I am with you. I never left you. I'm within you. And I said, well, God, where's the key? Where's the key? It's love. Father, it cannot be that simple. It cannot be that simple, because I'm reading the Bible, and I'm reading all of these things, and I'm seeking after your heart, and I'm beseeching you, and I'm beckoning your ears to hear, and I'm doing all of these things, and I'm saying, and you're telling me that where I'm trying to get to me is to find harmony and balance within me, so that I can love myself enough to be vulnerable enough to face you and to hear what you have to say and to actually trust. And then there's laughter. And laughter, and there's laughter, and there's so much laughter that I have to start laughing myself. And you laugh until you cry. You ever laughed until you cried? Because the same things are being said over and over and over again. And I'm laughing till I cry, and I say, but God, make it make sense. And, you know, and it comes back to me the same way. I've sent my messengers and you don't listen. I've sent the Bible. You don't understand. I've sent Jesus, my only begotten Son, and who spoke to you, who left everything in words from Matthew to Peter to Mark to Paul to everybody, right? And you do not hear, and you do not comprehend, and you do not know that you too, everything that Jesus could do, you can do. But you do not believe it. You do not want it for yourself, and you're looking for an outside authority, and you need somebody else to confirm it for you, daughter. And I keep trying to tell you, it's within you. It is within you that you will find me. What did they all say? That which you are seeking is already within you, but you will not go in you. You will not close your eyes. You will not shut your mind down. You will not even trust me when I say don't do this or don't go there, or trust me or believe in me, or, you know, or wait, or just wait. He says, daughter, laugh with me so that you can be kind enough to yourself to understand that I'm here with you. I'm here with every last one of you. I'm here with every child. I'm here with every adult. I'm here with dogs. I'm here in spirit. I'm here in the trees. I'm in the whispering wind, daughter. I'm everywhere around you guys that you deny me. And I cry. And I say, but I'm still somehow. And he says, daughter, stop right there. You just have to trust. And don't just trust, but sometimes be obedient enough to listen. See, that's the thing. Some people, they want blind trust. They want blind faith with no participation. And God is saying, no. I want you to participate. I want you to experience me. I want you to experience love. I want you to experience trust. And I say, God, it's such a vulnerable place to be. And what if I don't fit in? And what's wrong with fitting out, daughter? What's wrong with fitting out? What's wrong with being individual? What's wrong with loving your locks? What's wrong with loving your face? What's wrong with loving your body? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with knowing that if someone breaks your heart, or if you break your own heart, that it can be healed if you will allow it? If you will allow it, and that I'll be right there, and it'll get better. And you got to trust and believe, because I'm such a God. I'm so intentional. I'm so loving that I will heal that hurt, and I will prepare you greater. And you will look back on that experience and say, God, you was preparing me for a greatness that I did not see coming, God. And now I'm a better woman and I'm a better man, because I'm going to bring all that greatness and all that love, not heartbreak, but all that new love to the greatness that you have waiting for me. And I'm going to honor that discipline. I'm going to honor those sacrifices, right? Sometimes we got to laugh with God. We got to laugh. And sometimes we got to trust. I'm going to give you a quick wrap up, because this video is longer than I thought. But I want to tell you a story about simple trust that God was testing me on. And not a test, never a test, but a willingness, okay? So I call it the lady at the doctor's office. I'm at the doctor's office. I'm reading a book. And then there's my communication. I want you to write a letter, daughter. I hear it. Who am I writing a letter to? I would rather it be to myself, right? Who am I writing a letter to? Well, don't worry about it. But will you be willing to write a letter for me? I say, well, sure, God. Sure, Ichoosespirit. I'll write a letter for you. What are we going to write? Don't worry about it, daughter. So I get up, I go to the nurse's station, and I ask for a paper. I take out a pen, and I say, okay, I'm ready to write a letter. What are we writing? Don't worry about it. How about this? Can you start, dear daughter? Oh, is this for me? No, this is not for you, but can you still write it even if it's not for you? And I said, well, yeah, I'll write a letter. Lady at the doctor's office, right? So I said, dear daughter. And my communication happens. And I'm vulnerable about it. I'm vulnerable. And I write full speed ahead. My hand is going. I get to the last period, fold the letter in half. But I didn't read it. I don't know what's on the letter. I didn't read it. I don't know what's on the letter. Fold the letter in half because, daughter, this letter is not for you. Whew, I breathe out. I say, well, okay, that's great. The letter's not for me. I fold the letter in half. I put it behind my pages in my book. And the communication, I want you to do one more thing for me. I wrote a letter. I don't even know what's on the letter. You want me to do one more thing for you, God? Yes, I want you to give the letter to the stranger that sits in the seat ahead of you on the right. Are you kidding me? Let me read the letter, God. I can't give this letter to a stranger that's sitting in the seat in front of me. Daughter, will you have a willingness to trust? God, are you for real? These are my arguments. So when I tell you I'm having some quarrelsome back and forth with God, this is what's happening. So I'm saying I got to give my letter to a stranger sitting in a chair ahead of me. He says, don't worry about it. The chair is empty. But let me at least read the letter. It's not for you. So anyway, I let go of this fear, right? This anxiety that I have building up inside of me, because at the end of the day, I know I have a willingness, and now I'm going to have to trust, right? The lady in the doctor's office, I don't know she's a lady at this point. So I'm so engrossed in reading the letter that they call my name to come to the back room. And guess what? I look up and there's a lady sitting in the seat to the right of me, where I was told already that I'm going to give this letter to this person. Do you know, it just dawned on me that I said, and God said, dear daughter. So anyway, I got this buildup happening inside of me, and I'm like starting to kind of hyperventilate, and God comes over me with this wave, and he says, get up and just give the letter to the lady sitting in front of you to the right. And will you still have a willingness to trust me? Whew, I say, okay. I get up. I put this award-winning smile on my face. I look directly at this lady. I take the letter out of the back of the book, and I say, good morning. How are you? And I'm reaching this letter forward to this lady, and believe it or not, I don't know if she got lost in my smile and I interrupted her thoughts, and I said good morning, and she reached her hand out to me and she took the letter, and I darted out of there. I picked up my pace so fast, and I walked back to that doctor's office, and I sat in that room, and I was hyperventilating, thinking to myself in my head, dear God, what's on the letter that I wrote? Because I don't know. And it was just like, it's not for you. It's not for you. It was for her. Whew. I said, fine. She's going to be gone by the time I get out there, so I'm not going to worry about it, you know? A willingness to trust, a willingness to surrender, a willingness to trust. And I'm freaking out. I tell the doctor to take all the time that he needs, and I get through my doctor's appointment, and he says, okay, go to the counter and set up another a visit for 3 months out, right? And I say, okay, and I get there, and I walk through the door, and I dart my eyes to where that woman was sitting. And I got to tell you, if ever she ever sees this, She's a Caucasian lady, and she's probably in her 60s. She was sitting next to a guy that looked like her husband, and I didn't know her from Adam. I didn't know her at all. And the chair was empty, and there was this rush of relief that came over me, and I was excited about that, and I was okay with it. And then I walked through that door, and then I felt this quick pace coming from behind me, and it was the lady behind me. And I turned around, and she looked at me, and she threw herself on me and began to cry this, this horrendous cry of surrender, right? That ugly cry. Everybody got it. Everybody know that ugly cry. And I'm holding my belongings in my hand, and this lady has thrown herself on me, and she's hysterically crying, and the people are coming from behind the counter, and they're telling me, Miss Kayla, do you know this lady? And I say, no, I do not know her. I said, but it's okay. I said, can you get her some tissue? And they go back to get her some tissue, and I forgot her name, and they asked her, are you okay? And she's shooing these people off from them. She's shooing them away. And I finally tell the lady, because she's limp in my arms and it's heavy, and I say, ma'am, can we walk back and sit down? And so I start pushing my legs forward because she's on me at my chest, and we get to the chair, and I tap on her enough to know that she can sit down, and she doesn't let me go. And finally, I tell her, I says, ma'am, what would you like to tell me? Because I know you have something to tell me, because I have to get ready to go. And she looks at me and she says, how did you know? Who are you that you know? Who are you? And I said, ma'am, I'm my name. I told her my name, Kayla Rose. And she says, but no. How did you know? How did you know? And I said, I'm so sorry. I don't know what you're talking about. She grabbed the letter in her hand and she lifted it up to me. Like my notebook I have that I write all my notes in, and all my different pages and stuff. And I told her, I looked at her, and she looked up at me, and she grabbed this letter, and she's clenching onto this letter for dear life. And she says, what you wrote in this, how did you know? How did you know? And I took a really deep breath. And I breathed out because I needed to calm down. And I told her, I said, ma'am, the same way I'm telling all of you right now that are with me, I said, ma'am, I don't know what's on the letter. And she looked at me. She said, did you write this letter? And I said, yes, ma'am, I wrote the letter. I don't know what's on the letter. And she started profusely crying again. And I calmed her down again. I said, ma'am, it's okay. Whatever is on that letter, it's for you. And she started crying again, and she was fanning this letter, and it was such a hard cry. It was a hard cry, and I was trying to hold back tears because I'm having the conversation in my head. God, what is in the letter? What did I write? And, and I said, ma'am, I just want to tell you, I wrote dear daughter, and that's about all I wrote. And she said, let me explain something to you, and I'm going to let you go because I know you have to go, and I know this is getting long. She said, let me explain something to you. She said, this morning I got up, and I got up, and I didn't want to get up. And I was mad, and I was so angry. And I walked into the bathroom, and I got into the bathroom, and I closed the door behind me. And she said, I got in that bathroom and I started screaming at the top of my lungs with all this anger and all this rage at God. She said, because sometimes when you're so angry and you're so mad at everything that's possibly happening to you in your life, and you want to understand, and you want to know that you're not alone, and you want to know that God is hearing your prayers, and you want to know. And she said, I got in that mirror and I started screaming, and I was so enraged and I was so angry because I told God, Today, God, if you don't talk to me today, and I don't want that silly-nilly bull where I gotta decipher through, and I don't have the wisdom, or I don't want that, God. I want a clear conversation from you where I know that I cannot deny what I'm hearing, because that's the type of answer that I need today, God, And here's this lady telling me this, and I'm standing in front of her, and I'm calming her down because she's so loud in this doctor's office. And she says, you know, and I told God this, and I'm looking in the mirror and I said, God, and I'm throwing stuff in my bathroom. And I'm telling God, if I don't hear from you today, and if it's not clear today, then I cannot do it. I don't want to do it. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And I can't do it, you know. And she looked at me and she said, you know, every day when my husband gets up, he does not know who I am. Every day I face the fact that, you know, he's going to walk outside and never come back because he doesn't know that this is home. And he's my rock and he's my everything. And he has been that all of my life. And I don't know how to do this. And she says, I don't know how to do this. And I believe in a God that I can't see. And I pray and I do all of these things. And I told this to God today, if I don't hear from you today, you know. And she said, I walk into a doctor's office and I'm looking everywhere I go for a message from God. And she said, you hand me a letter. You hand me a letter and you say to me, you don't know what's on the letter. You don't know what's on the letter. And I don't know you. She said, you look so young and who are you? That you answered everything that I was screaming about in silence today. And I said, ma'am, please. I did not answer nothing, not me. Please understand, I did not answer not one question that you had. I said, because my God is so intentional that sometimes when I write, I do not know what I am writing. Sometimes he's so intentional that when he says to me, it is not for you, that I understand that it's not for me. I said I wanted to read the letter. And he reminded me that it was not for me, so it didn't matter. And when you tell me that what I wrote on that letter was the answer to everything that you were looking for today, it answers for me that I can trust. And that I can trust a willingness. And that I can be vulnerable enough to be used. To allow God to flow through me so he can touch you, right? And I said, I'm so sorry that you have to face these things in your life. And God wants you to know that he is always your rock. And that if you continue to trust and believe in him, that he will also get you through whatever situation that you are facing. And that he wants us to know that he never denies us. He never not listens to us. Our prayers are not going unanswered. Our belief in him is what's going unanswered. Our lack of belief, our lack of faith, our lack of trust is what's going unanswered. And I said, whatever's in that letter was for you. And I said, thank you, because you confirmed for me that my willingness is a part that I can continue to trust in. And that's what I wanted to tell you guys, that sometimes in life we have to have trust. Trust to do the unknown things. Trust to do the big things. Trust to do the simple things. Trust to go push past your fears. Trust to love. Trust to try. And that's all I wanted to share with you. And I didn't want to be so vulnerable on here. But I want to say that all of us are on a journey. All of us are experiencing a spiritual journey in this physical life, in this human body. And don't shy away from spirituality. You will never not be spirit in this reality. You will never not be spiritual. You will never not be spiritual. Now, maybe when you die, maybe when you separate the spirit from the body, you'll have a different experience. But you will never not be spiritual. You will always be spiritual. You will always. So to all of you out there, this is Kayla Rose, and this has been one of the most touchiest, vulnerable, trusting experiences I don't share. I don't usually want to share. I just, but I understand with that letter that even though it wasn't for me, that God is saying, sometimes I just want willing vessels. Sometimes it's just a smile. Sometimes it's just, letting people know that, hey, that a compliment, a thank you. Sometimes that is the simple gift from God. Sometimes it's, I tell people, stop making God so difficult, so unapproachable, so distant, so everything else. We gotta love ourselves enough so that we can be willing enough to trust and have discipline and set up boundaries and push past the fears and the doubts and the shames and everything and learn the lessons so that we can become our better self, because it's only then that God can use you, right? Because you know what vulnerable and you know what opening your heart is. Open your heart to yourself first, and you will always find God there. I love you guys. I'm Kayla Rose. Have a beautiful day. Be blessed and trust, even if it's vulnerable. Don't always try to fit in. Sometimes just try to fit out enough to be your authentic self. I love you. Laters.